Hello guys, and welcome to this new video. Today we are going to talk about Python keywords, which are the fundamental building blocks of any Python program. They are reserved words and they cannot be used as variable names, function names, or any other identifiers. To display our keywords, we use the help function. So we write help keywords and we get the list of the Python keywords. To make it easier to remember, we have grouped these keywords into small groups to make them simple to understand. First, we start by logical operators. We have three of them. We have AND, OR, NOT, which are used to combine conditional statements. For example, if we have x equals to -6, y equals to 5, and we write x is negative and y is positive, so we get a true. If we write print x is positive or y is positive, so we have y is positive, and the OR statements returns true if one of the statements is true. Since y is positive, so we get a true. The NOT reverse the result, returns true if the result is false, or false if the result is true. Here we have x is negative and y is positive. We have a true. If we use the NOT statement, we get a false. So we started by logical operators and we have three of them. Now we have value keywords. There are three Python keywords that are used as values. So we have the false and true, which are Boolean values and the result of comparison operations, as we have in here. So we have the true and we have the false. We have the none, which represents a null value. For example, if we put z equals to none and we print z, we get a none, which is a null value. We have also the import keywords. The import is used to import a module, from to import specific parts of a module, and as is to create an alias. For example, if we want to import NumPy, we write import NumPy and we give it a name, which is NP, which is much more easier to use in programs. So this is an alias for NumPy. If you want to import specific parts of a module, for example, the sign function from the math module, we use from math import sign. Okay, so we imported specific part or function from our module math. Now we have exception handling keywords. We have three of them. We have except, used with exceptions, what to do when exception occur, raise, to raise an exception, and try, to make a try except statement. For the syntax, we have try, two dots, and we write here our statements. For example, value is positive. Except value is not positive, we write value is not defined. For example, because here in our example, we don't have the value defined. This is just a small example about exceptions. So we write that. We have value is not defined. We have also another example. Okay, so for example, we write a number. Okay, enter number, for example, 6. Okay, so if x is negative, raise exception, no negative values are allowed. Okay, here we have positive, nothing is raised or no exception is made. But if we run that again, so we write -6, and here we have exception, no negative values are allowed. Okay, so here we have the exception handling keywords. So we have three of them, and these are their syntaxes. Now we have the assert keyword, which is used for debugging, and it helps us to find bugs and to check if our assumptions are true. It's followed by a condition, and if the condition is true, nothing happens, but if the condition is false, assertion error is raised. For example, here we define x as true. Okay, so we write assert x is false. We have assertion error. Okay, so this says that our x does not have the right value. Okay, but if we write assert x is true, we don't have an error. Okay, so we call this an assertion error, which helps us to find bugs in our program. Now we have the control flow keywords, where we have also 3 of them used in conditional statements. Okay, for example, we have val equals to 10. We define a variable. We use if by itself alone if we have only one statement. For example, if you want to check if x is positive, 2 dots, we write print positive. Okay, if we have two, for example, classes, whether positive or negative, we use if and else. Okay, so we write if the condition 2 dots, we write positive, else we write print negative, for example. Okay, but if we have more than 2, okay, so we have, for example, x positive, x negative, and we have other values, for example, x is null, x is complex, etc. So we use elif. Okay, so we use if condition. We have here another condition, elif, and we have else. Okay, else, for example, print others, right? So we have if, elif, and else. These are control flow keywords. Now we have the break statement, which is used inside for and while loops to break out of a loop. For example, here we define I equals to 0. We use the break statement if we reach the value 5. Okay, for example, we write that for I in range 10, if I equals to 5, break. Okay, we print I. If we don't use this statement, okay, we are going to print all the values. Okay, but using the break statement, we have x equals to 5, so we break, we get out of the for loop. Okay, we have also the class keyword, which is used to define a new class. Okay, classes are very used in Python, so knowing the concepts of object-oriented programming in Python is a must. And we use the class statement to define a new class. For example, class, we define the name of the class as number, and we initialize our number with value. Okay, so we use here a function to initialize the class by value. Okay, we run that. So we create num equals to num4. We create an object. Okay, an object as a number. We give it a value of 4. Okay, to print this value, we use num.value, and we get this value of 4. Okay, so this is the class keyword, which is used to define classes in Python. We have also the continue keyword, which is used inside also for and while loops to continue to the next iteration of the loop. Here we have the break to break out of the loop if we reach the value, but the continue to continue to the next iteration of the loop, which means that, for example, if we use the same code here, we have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. When it reaches to 5, it goes directly to 6. Okay, we don't print the value of 5. Okay, for example, if we don't use the condition, we have 0, 1 to take 5. Okay, but if we use this condition, when we get the value of 5, we don't display the 5. We continue directly to the next value, which is 6. Okay, we have also def, which is used to define a function. Okay, as we did in here, we have def to define a function inside the class, and we have here a small example. Def, we write here the name of the function, and here we write our arguments. Okay, for the statements, they can be written inside the function. We run that and we run our function. Okay, we call it to display, for example, the number of 2. The value is 2. Okay, we have also the del keyword, which is used to delete the reference to an object. Since everything in Python is an object, so the del function or the del keyword is very used to delete these kind of objects or the references. For example, we have x equals to 10. We call del x. So we have deleted the reference of the object or reference to the object. When we print x, we have name x is not defined because we have deleted using the del keyword. Finally, is used in block of code with exceptions to close up resources. So this block will be executed no matter if there is an exception or not. Okay, for example, we have here the syntax as previously. So we have here the first part, we have the try except block, we have the else, other exceptions, finally, which is the last statement in our try except block, and this block will be executed no matter if there is an exception or not. We run that. So we have here x is not defined, okay, and continue is not displayed, okay, because we have the first exception and we printed the first statement, but for finally it is always displayed, okay, whether we have an exception or not in our exception handling block. The statement that we are going to put in finally is always displayed. The for, which is used for looping when we know the number of times we want to loop. As you can see here, the range 10, so we want to loop for 10 times. Okay, when we know the number of times we want to loop, okay, the number of iterations, we use the for loop. Okay, so this is the syntax for I in the range 10, we print I, for example, okay, from 0 to 9. Global keyword is used to declare that a variable inside the function is global. Okay, for example, we define a function, we define global variable, which is y, and we give it a value. Okay, we call the function and we print y. As you can see here, even if we have defined y inside the function, normally it is a local variable and it is only, or it belongs to this function, but since we have used global keyword, so we have written global y, when we call or when we want to print the value y inside the function, it will be printed because it is a global variable. We have also the in keyword, which is used to test if a sequence, list, tuple, string, etc. contains a value. For example, we have my list, we have a list here, and we want to test if our value is in our list. So we write if x in my list, print OK. Okay, so x equals to 1, if x in my list, print OK. So the in keyword is used to test if a sequence contains a value. So here our sequence, which is my list, contains the value x, which is equals to 1. We have is keyword used for testing object identity. So we have here two objects. We have x is a list, y is a list. As you can see here, x is the same as y, and we call a equals to x. So print x is a. A is not defined, so we have to run that. True. But if we write x is y, even though we have 1, 2, 1, 2, we have the same list, but it is false because they are not the same object. Okay, we don't have object identity. So x is a, we have true. We have the lambda keyword, which is used to create an anonymous function. Okay, an anonymous function, sorry. So we have f equals to, this is the syntax, lambda x to x plus 1. So we increment the value of x by 1. Okay, so we run, and if you call f to 1, we have 2. Okay, for example, if we call f of 5, we'll have 6. So f equals to lambda, we put here the value of 6, and it will give us 5, and give us 5 plus 1, which is equals to 6. We have the nonlocal keyword, which is used to declare that a variable inside a nested function is not local to it. Nested function is a function inside a function. Okay, so we have function inside the function, and we use the nonlocal keyword to declare that this variable inside this function is not local to it. Okay, if we run that, for example, print. So we have the first function, we declare our variable. We have the second function, which is inside our function. We declare this variable as non-local to this function. We give it a value. We call the function, the second function, inside the first function, and we print the value. For example, we will get the value of 2. Since we have declared that z is non-local to this nested function. We have the pass keyword, null statement that will do nothing. Okay, for example, we have here x equals to 10, y equals to minus 6. If x equals to y or greater than y, pass. Okay, the program will do nothing, it will just pass. We have a return used to exit a function and return a value. Okay, so we define our function hello. We declare a variable x, a local variable to this function, and we want to return this value that are assigned to x. So when we call our function, the function will return to us the value given inside the local variable. Okay, so return used to exit the function and return a value. Okay, so we return the value of x. We have while, which is used for looping. The for loop, we use the for loop when we know the number of iterations, but the while loop will execute as many number as iterations it requires, as long as this condition is true. Okay, so here we write j equals to 10, we give it the condition. Okay, while j is positive, we print j, and here we decrement by 1. Okay, for example, if we decrement by 2, okay, so 10 8 6 4 2, then we have 2 minus 2, which is equals to 0, and while j is, so we have here j is not strictly positive, we stop our iteration. We have also the with keyword, which mostly used for file handling. Okay, with this following syntax. For example, I have a file which is called cars, which is a CSV file, and we want to open this file in a read mode. So we write with open cars.csv, comma, read as f. So print f.read. Here we are going to display the content of our file using the with statement. Sorry, the with keyword. Finally, we have the yield keyword, which is used like a return, but the function will return a generator. So here we have function. Okay, we have a function, and we will have, in the place of return, we will have the yield keyword, and we will return a generator. And we are going to see the generators in details in the next video. So this is all for the Python keywords. I hope that you have learned new things. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next one.